This is where Democrats can start. And I think, what this shows to me is that Schumer doesn't want to get himself in the same position as he was in last time, where he got really beat up over the fact that he led Democrats to help Republicans out on the government funding package. Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, Republicans begin dealing with the reconciliation fallout. Number two, Senator Tim Kaine's quest to rebel against Trump. And number three, the latest from the vault, the effort to repeal parts of the reconciliation package have already begun. All right, Jake, let's get into it. We are leading Punchbowl News AM with, I think you said, the best headline you have written, maybe in
best
the history
subject
of Punchbowl
line.
News.
And, I it was brought to my attention, Anna, that I might have been a little sleepy yesterday. I am not sleepy today. I feel like I am ready to rock and roll. I don't even know if I got a good night's sleep, but it's Tuesday, which is not Monday. So I feel a little bit better. Well, let's talk about two things quickly here at the top. Just briefly, Chuck Schumer has this new letter, a dear colleague to his colleagues. Who else would a dear colleague be to? Saying it's absurd to expect Democrats to cut a deal on government funding while Republicans are approving rescissions. Now, yeah, this is going to be the big challenge.
Shots fired right there, man.
It's Schumer's point is like, why should we cut a government funding deal with you in 84 days is when government funding expires if you're just going to do rescissions packages and cut previously appropriated spending? Now, let's be clear. This is $9 billion. Someone said to me the other day, I think I've said this in the podcast before, $9 billion doesn't even offset Lindsey Graham's Codels.
Tough crowd out here this morning.
Yeah, so I don't think that's fair, but they said it's a bait and switch. Schumer said it's a bait and switch. So, we could just put a pin in it there.
I do think, hold on, that is an opening salvo. It's important. 84 days, as you say. Democrats saying that, listen, they're not just going to go along to get along here, and Republicans know they're going to need them, right? They had no ability to be really part of the conversation on reconciliation. They did the best they could when it was going through, but it was a Republican-only package. This is where Democrats can start, and I think, what this shows to me is that Schumer doesn't want to get himself in the same position as he was in last time, where he got really beat up over the fact that he led Democrats to help Republicans out on the government funding package, don't you think?
Yes, 100%. So he's giving a long paper trail here over what what Republicans should expect. So I think that's the big thing. Let's talk about the main part of the top this morning. Republicans are getting killed back home, Anna, over the OBBB, the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is now law. If you just look across the country, in Maine, Susan Collins is up for re-election. 2 rural hospitals are in danger of closing down, another 2 in trouble. 40,000 Mainers could lose health care. We have in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro warned that as many as 25 rural hospitals could go under. 310,000 Pennsylvanians could lose Medicaid coverage. In North Carolina, the same. Minnesota, UCare, a Minnesota health provider, withdrew temporarily from Medicaid on Monday. Michigan, the Michigan Health and Hospital Association says state hospitals will lose out on $6 billion in Medicaid funding over a decade. 200,000 Michiganders, up to potentially 700,000 will lose coverage. Anna, this is it doesn't even matter whether it's temporary, whether it's permanent, what it is. These are the headlines right now. This is what people are seeing. And this is, Mike Johnson kept saying this is not a health care bill. This is a tax bill. But it actually is a health care bill. When you cut Medicaid, whether you call it waste, fraud, and abuse or cuts or whatever you call it, this is a health care bill. This has become a bill that is about Medicaid.
And Republicans have struggled on health care, man. For years now.
Sure.
This is over a decade since Obamacare. Democrats have the formula here when it comes to health care in this country in terms of how to hurt Republicans on the campaign trail. But the headlines themselves, these are making Democrats' job easy, right? All these states, Michigan, Maine, North Carolina, Minnesota to some degree. I mean, these are swing states. These are states that Democrats are looking to say, hey, we have an opportunity to potentially tell a story here against Donald Trump and against Republicans in the midterms that could be very convincing, considering the fact that people that rely on these rural health systems potentially are going to have entire hospitals shut down.
Yeah, for sure. And this was the provider tax, the rural health care fund. This was the crux of the last phase of the OBBB. So, I think this is a clear problem for Republicans and something they're going to have to get ahead of. And nothing hits home more than healthcare, number one. Number two, Medicaid has expanded significantly in the last 15 years since Obamacare. It's not just a program for people who cannot, the traditional Medicaid program is people who just, were unable to afford healthcare, just traditional, safety net program. It's now grown into something much larger. And Republicans own this. Now, this is the problem when you touch any program like this. Now, Republicans own a good chunk of healthcare. Hakeem Jeffries, we noted this in the midday edition yesterday, was on The View, which, is one of the, I think, if not the highest rated, the second highest rated daytime talk show. And he said it's not only Medicaid recipients that will be screwed in his estimation. It will be everybody because premiums are going to go up and the entire system is going to shift because of this bill. That is how they're framing it. So they are trying to make just like with Obamacare, Republicans,
Right,
in their view, now own healthcare travails.
All right, Jake, on to the number 2 story of the morning. Senator Tim Kaine, the Democrat from Virginia, maybe an unlikely person to be doing this, but he's really been the tip of the spear here. When you look at some of the more aggressive procedural tactics that break with Senate norms that are trying to put the Trump administration on notice, he has been utilizing them. I think to some degree, Andrew Desideri has a really great item here about how it has made his own colleagues on the Democratic side nervous because he's breaking with some of the traditional norms, trying to force and allow for the minority to be able to have control of the Senate floor. A lot of them have not gone anywhere, but he's certainly been able to have some success when it comes to the Canadian tariffs and other things.
Tim Kaine is taking matters into his own hands, and this is a great item by Andrew. Just basically saying these are not, in his view, these are not normal times, and we need to not act as we normally do. He has triggered votes on 5 privilege resolutions and co-sponsored a 6 on Middle East arms sales. He had one that was successful, that April vote to block Trump's tariffs on Canadian imports, not exports, imports. This is probably rankling some people in leadership because when people go out on their own and say, it's my turn to take the strategy here, that is not something that always plays well with the leadership, as you can imagine, Anna. Just like if I decided one day that I was gonna do a bunch of stuff.
I knew this was coming.
If I was gonna, open a merch store, which I've wanted to do for years, and when we look back at the long arc of Punchbowl News,
that's what's really been missing, Jake. The people want.
I will say, it was a successful company. It created a lot of people jobs over the last, X years. We've done really well news-wise, monetarily. It's all great. But where the hell was that merch store? That's what I will say. I will say we screwed up on not having a merch store. So,
all right, you've heard it here, all. Jay Sherman. We'll see. Maybe one day.
I could use some workout shirts, some golf shirts, some workout hats. I mean, where are we on the merch?
I'll get back to you on that one right after many other things. All right, let's move on to the number 3 story of the morning. A really great item from the Vault. Our financial services and tax policy reporting. They write there's already a campaign to reverse one of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act's tax hikes. Just days after it became law, Representative Dina Titus, the Democrat from Nevada, introduced a bill Monday to restore bigger tax deductions for gamblers. The legislation is gathering backers and already has bipartisan support. Wow, just a couple of days and we're already looking at trying to reverse parts of the bill. What a world we're living in.
Yeah, this is actually really interesting because I started catching wind of this when the bill was getting through Congress. There was a bunch of people. I am, sports gambling is legal. I bet probably like $5 a couple times, sometimes every 6 months or something like that. So
Big
I'm
gambler.
not really eligible. I'm not. My losses from gambling is like, very minimal. So, but if you I follow people on Twitter and on Instagram that talk about this stuff, and there are situations in which so you could subtract 100% of the losses, but in previous times, now it's only 90%, which is about $1 billion pay for in this bill. But there's a situation in which serious gamblers, people who play poker professionally or sports gamble professionally, not me, clearly, who could actually lose money even if they win money due to this law. So you could be up $100,000 and owe $120,000 just based on this very minor change in the tax code. I'll be honest with you, Anna. There are a lot of big bills that get through that become law, where a couple years later you see Congress change or undo them. This does have bipartisan support. Troy Nehls, a Texas Republican, is on the bill. So I would not be surprised to see something like this get fixed. Of course, Trump would have to sign it into law. He does have a lot of support in the gambling community, to be honest with you. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but like there are a lot of people who play poker and who gamble professionally. This is just one of those things that maybe, I don't know for sure, but maybe wasn't thought out 100%, and the implications weren't thought out 100%. And it's only $1 billion, which is a lot of money to like normal people, not a lot of money for government. So we'll have to see if they can get any traction on this.
All right. We will see if this is just one of what I expect. I'm sure there'll be others that crop up as there are fixes or folks start to understand what some of the implications are. We will be covering that very closely. One quick note, just want to note, Jake, that we have our third installment of The Future of Energy that is dropping today. Allie Mutnick did a great job interviewing Mr. Fleischman, the Republican from Tennessee, looking at nuclear energy and a bunch of other things. Encourage you all to check that out at our website at punchbowl.news. As always, thanks so much for listening and watching. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Punchbowl News. Search that, and you will find us. As always, have a great day and stay safe, everybody.